Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered! Today, on Glaive, it's going to be IdrA versus joinahyun1. I don't know exactly who this is, but Hyun is a professional player. He hasn't never gone by this Smurf name, but maybe it is Hyun? Off Racing? I don't know. So bottom right of Glaive, we have a red Protoss player. It is joinahyun1. We're going to call him Joina. Doesn't make any sense, but it's fun to say. And on the top side, it is IdrA, the infamous American Terran player. Okay, so this is Glaive. Let's go ahead and take a look at the map real quick while nothing is happening. We have a big triangle in the middle, which is how you can recognize it's Glaive if you're looking at the map without Fog of War on. Obviously, it's a weird friggin' map. Yes, your natural is not hard to take, but you have to worry about walling off two separate locations because they're accessible from the wider area. So walling off kind of sucks. There's no Zergs here, though, so walling off is not exactly a huge concern. And it is a three-player map. This is the third spawn location. Got big, wide open areas, man. Technically, I think you could put tanks up here and ruin a Protoss's day. I don't know if we're going to see that today. It would be interesting, right? Some Goliaths and tanks here and be like, come get some. But I think you can avoid this enough, right? You can take these other different paths around, and you do have some ramps here as well. Ooh. I'm not sure if this is Protoss or Terran favored based on some of the topography here. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a very huge map either. Distances aren't super duper far. Again, it's not a 4-player map, so there's not a ton of places to expand, but you have some minerals-only expansions here on the sides if you're interested in some of that. And honestly, the Protoss is more interested in that than the Terran is. Just they need to make a lot of Zealots. The Zealots are the mineral dump of the day. Barracks coming up at home for the Terran and Gateway. Ooh, Zealot production beginning here from the Protoss. So we'll see how that goes. Fog of War is back on. I know some of you guys really hate when I forget to turn Fog of War back on. I get it. I totally understand it. It makes it feel like it's more of a live match, right? I mean, can you turn off Fog of War if you're casting live? I'll have to try that on one of my Sunday streams, which if you haven't watched those, give them a shot, man. It's every Sunday I cast the replays that you can send me to falconpaladin@gmail.com with the subject of Brood War. I'll cast them, man. You send me your 1v1s. Are you proud of something you've done on the ladder recently? Send it over. I love that kind of stuff. If you're trying to do something emulating Flash, or maybe doing something you saw Bisu do once, you know, send me the replay. I'm not going to say no to that. We'll cast it. We'll get some community stuff done, and that's what Sundays are for. Also, we play some stuff together. We can do Helm's Deep, which is a really, really fun use map settings map. Zealot arrives here. Also some Phantom mode, which is basically Among Us in StarCraft. You have imposters. You try to figure out who they are. But you're also building, you're macroing and microing an army. You're playing StarCraft while you're doing it. It's kind of fun. So Zealot decides, I'm not going to catch these Marines, probably. Just kidding. Stabs one right in the face. But, yeah, going to take some hits. Like, we'll keep an eye on this Zealot and watch his HP kind of start to go down. But another Zealot's going to show up, and that makes it twice as hard for IdrA to deal with this. The reason you clicked on this was for IdrA Rage, and I can see this getting something out of the guy. Oh my gosh. Zealot wanders into the mineral line. SCV is not even really bothering to micro at all. Just kind of not meat shielding or anything. So the other Zealot died. This one got 1 kill. I'm not sure he's interested in doing anything else. There is a Dragoon. What is this? Oh, it's here to kill this SCV that's been scouting since the beginning of time. Fair enough. 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6. 6 hits. With upgrades, you can do it in 5. Which is, I mean, that's what every Protoss player gets upgrades for their Dragoons for, is to be able to kill SCVs in 5 hits instead of 6. Isn't that it? I think that's how that works. Anyway, click plug 2 if you're watching this for the store, falconpaladin.store. We've got t-shirts and hoodies and mugs and pillows and all sorts of great stuff if you're into it. We've got Falcon Paladin logos with like Korean lettering that says different stuff. If you're, I don't know, kind of interested in showing your Korean fandom, you can check it out. Again, falconpaladin.store. It's an easy website to get to. We're kind of trying to see if we can maybe get a partnership with one of those guys that are directly connected to YouTube so I can actually display some of the options below my videos. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So maybe we'll do that for those of you who don't like going to different websites and just live on YouTube. I think that's a lot of people, honestly. Yeah, getting you guys to come out to Twitch is also nearly impossible. Anyway, Command Center coming up with the high ground from IdrA. What's he doing? Tearing things, obviously. Although that's a pretty fast engineering bay. Oh, hang on. This might not just be straight up mech. This could be like a marine tank push with +1 marines. I kind of love that, actually. If you know your opponent's going heavy on dragoons, marine tank is actually kind of awesome, especially if you're doing the pressuring rather than defending. Look at this, 3 tanks. The problem is it takes so long to get +1 attack. It can't be missile turrets. Is it just for missile? It's just for missile turret. And I guess he floated off his barracks anyway, so he's not making a ton of marines. What? I mean, okay, hold on. How close are we to things? I guess technically there could be a shuttle. But, like, we're pretty far from needing a turret. I guess if you're worried about DTs, this is not a bad idea either. Fine. I think it's overly cautious, but fine. Is that another one? That's another missile turret, man. But he does do a Maynard transfer down to the natural base. For those who don't know, I've talked about this in previous casts fairly recently. Maynard was a really early American Terran player who came up with the concept of over-making workers at your main base. I mean, this is like 2000, 2001 he was doing this. Actually, 2000, because that's when I learned about it. Maybe 99. And then building your base, your second base, and then transferring a bunch of those workers down to the natural base. It's just called a Maynard transfer. And I remember learning about it and just being like, oh, this game has so much cool stuff in it. But anyway, that was the guy. That was Maynard. Cool dude. Not the StarCraft 2 Australian caster Maynard. That's a different guy. Entirely different. Cool guy, though. Like, Maynard's great. I like his stuff a lot. But StarCraft 2, so you probably don't care. Again, I think the overlap of my channel is about 10% of my viewers overall are StarCraft 2 fans, and the other 90% are Brood War fans. It's just why Brood War took over the channel, everyone. In case you were wondering why that happened, and if you're looking for the StarCraft 2, I do have a StarCraft 2 channel. I've been putting stuff up to it 5 times a week, just like I was doing here. It's just on a different channel now. If you let me know, I'll put a link to it in the description and respond to you directly. If you're looking for the StarCraft 2, it still exists. I still love it all. I love all StarCraft. I can't abandon any of it. I never will. Even if it makes no sense. Alright, so we're into factory production now from IdrA. So that's fine. Bunch of dragoons. As I've said before in every PvT I've ever cast in my whole life. That's not true. In most of the PvTs that I've ever cast, you need to out-expand the Terran and kill their tanks from time to time. Are you going to lose stuff by jumping in there to kill tanks from time to time? Yes. But you can absorb those losses, okay? Because you're supposed to have 3 bases, maybe 4 bases when the Terran is still on 2. Is that happening from joinahyun1? No. Join is not doing that at all. He's got a Templar Archives and an Arbiter Tribunal, so he's 2 basing it here. Maybe Storm drops. It is DTs, by the way. DTs on the way. 1 in particular. Alright. Again, this turret's going to be nice, but he didn't need it 3 minutes ago. Part of StarCraft is building stuff only when you need it, because you'd rather be making workers and expanding and stuff. Look, a 3rd CC. We're setting up to go for a 3rd Nexus here. But in the meantime, what are we going to do? Recall or Stasis? What's our first upgrade for those Arbiters? The answer is nothing. We're just getting Arbiters. DT moving out, but I mean, again, IdrA, he's died to DTs enough in his life that he's not going to die to DTs easily again. Not today, anyway. So, yeah, he recognized the little blur, right? There's a blur on the screen for invisible stuff. It's not technically invisible. That'd be interesting if it was actually invisible, wouldn't it? And you'd have no chance of seeing stuff that is cloaked. Unless you had detection. But yeah, he saw it, he scanned, he killed it instantly. DT got nothing done. No Arbiter upgrades? No Arbiters upgrades, man. 3rd Nexus on the way, but it feels late. Look at the 3rd CC floating across. Okay, well, we've got Dragoons with range anyway, with an Observer, so we can kill these Spider Mines, which, again, will infest the entire map if you don't clear them out. It is just like a weed infestation. It starts out small, but it will take over your whole garden if you allow it to. Yay, double expand. Okay, I like this. I like this from Joina. He needs to be doing this 4th Nexus before the 3rd one is done. And he does. But the 3rd base... Oh, that's a 4th base? Dude! IdrA expanding well here. I like what this kid is doing. Look, the reason IdrA is as famous as he is because of the bad manner. But you can't forget, he was a decent player. He was a decent foreigner. No, he never won any premier championships in Brood War. That's fine. No foreigners ever really did. One or two did. We'll say two. Two in total have. So that's, I mean, again, that's not a huge loss. But as far as foreigners go, IdrA's Terran was pretty good. His macro's pretty nuts. That's what he was known for when he swapped to StarCraft 2 and that came out and started playing Zerg, was his ability to macro. We could see it here, right? He's doing all right. He's got 4 bases rolling. He's got enough tanks to survive. He's down in overall supply, but that's fine because it's really hard for the Protoss to crack this nut right now of spider mines, missile turrets, siege tanks behind them. They've got +1 attack. The upgrades are pretty good so far. No upgrades for the gateway units for Hyun. Vulture is trying to sneak in here and get some probe kills. I don't think they accomplished much, if anything at all. And yeah, 4 bases rolling. The trick is, IdrA doesn't know that this exists. And the other sneaky thing about IdrA is that he won't badmouth you. He doesn't bad manner you if he wins. 99% of the time. He will, most of the time, bad manner you if you beat him, especially with something that he hates. Like if joinahyun1 wins this game with carriers, I think IdrA is going to rage. I don't know that we're going there, right? We're making a lot of Arbiters, which is not necessarily a carrier thing. Goliaths with Charon boosters are on the way, but that's just for shuttles and observers and Arbiters. It's not going to be enough Goliath production for this to be against carrier. I don't think we need it, honestly, at this point. That's the thing about Protoss, is they can swap over to carrier pretty much whenever they want. They can start carrier. They can do it after 2 bases, after 3 bases, after 4, after 5 bases, sure. But, I don't see it. I don't feel like joinahyun's going to be going for carriers here today at all. Spider-Mine clearage happening. Man, can you imagine hiring Dragoons to clear the weeds out of your front driveway or something? And just show up and just like plasma phase disruptor it to death. Oh, Vulture's found this base. And so one of the cannons is going to get both these cannons. Yeah, look at that. Pretty good. I don't think he lost a Vulture either. joinahyun decides to engage. He's not worried about those Vultures right now. He's going to move right on up, but that's too many tanks, man. Where is your stasis now? Is what I'd like to know. These Zealots are just kind of wandering into a tank line and causing a tank to die because of friendly fire splash. Basically, Zealot bombing that thing from the ground. It's not really a... I guess it can be a bomb, but oh, IdrA ends up losing his 4th base effectively. A lot of SCVs dying here. Nice target firing, by the way, on those workers, and IdrA's down to 56 workers right now. These guys they do have stasis. Hooray! Stasis has been researched, but IdrA's been knocked down to 3 bases. His 4th base is getting, oh my gosh, the 5th base, rather, of joinahyun is getting killed by Vultures. To its everlasting shame, it's not going to Nexus Heaven. It's going to go to Nexus Purgatory for dying to Vultures. Additionally, these Dragoons are having a good time at the 3rd base of IdrA. So IdrA cannot be happy about this. I mean, this series of events is pretty bad. This Zealot's got 5 kills. He's just murdering the crap out of these poor SCVs. I think the Dragoons know they just need to buy some time for the Zealot to kill as many as he can. He's got 6, and now he's out. Brutal. I mean, did he loot? Look at this guy dancing. How'd he get stuck back here? Poor guy. He's really spazzing out. He's like phasing out of existence. He's spazzing out so hard. So it's 154 to 110 total supply. joinahyun is way ahead right now. Yes, he lost his 5th base to Vultures, which is embarrassing. But he knocked IdrA back to 3 bases. IdrA's at 54 SCVs. The Vultures are back, baby. They're here for blood. Out for blood, in fact. And, yeah. My gosh, they're going to get another cannon. IdrA's Vultures today have been some of the better Vultures I've ever seen in a game. Just for their ability to kill buildings, they've shown up at just the right time. Look how little joinahyun cares about this base. He's like, you know what? Waste your time there. I don't mind. Maybe we are going to come down and save it. Well, it's too late to save it because the Nexus is dead. Expansion here, too, from joinahyun. And the 4th base is back from IdrA, bringing some more SCVs down. We could call that a main node transfer if we want to. I'm not sure it technically fits, but it's kind of the same idea. Okay, well, that's enough of that. Vulture does wander up to the new 5th base of joinahyun and does end up getting 5 kills before he goes down. But it's still 70 probes for joinahyun. Like, his probe production's been pretty good throughout this entire game. Double expanding as you do. IdrA kind of resetting up his defense. +2 attack, +1 armor on his mech. +2 attack, no armor for joinahyun, working on +3 attack for his dudes. And the Vultures have just been buying time. That's all they've needed to do today. It's just kill probes, kill bases, keep the Protoss away from the front door, keep them away from the expansions as much as Terranly possible. We'll see how that works out. My gosh, the Vultures, though. They just keep wandering over and causing all sorts of trouble for these probes. Down to 63 probes after that. Jeez. It's at least 7 probes down. At least. And most of the Vultures die, but they can afford that for sure. $200 to 163 supply. joinahyun is maxed out, which is usually impetus to move out and try to kill your opponent, or at least kill a base. Because if you're maxed out and your opponent... Oh, here we go. I thought this might be a recall blob. Of course it is. So let's do this thing. There's your recall. And the Arbiter dies, but not before the recall happens. It's okay. I mean, in general, recalls against Terran are fine. Is there more Vultures back here? Just a spider mine. But they very rarely pay for themselves. You sure? You killed a couple supply depots. Awesome stuff. A couple SCVs went down, but it's still 65 to 60 in favor of the Terran. Another Arbiter thought about going in there, but recognized there's maybe a little bit too much. Too much army sitting in this particular position. Expanding down this way is joinahyun too. Another Arbiter sneaking around. I see you. You going for it? There's your recall, and we're out. Oh, come back. Come back, though. Stuff's happening. I'm trying to get screenshots. I'm sorry. Ah! +3, +2 Dragoons. Almost +3 Dragoons. Providing the cloak, but the detection... Oh, Arbiter goes down. A little bit sloppy from joinahyun. So both players have taken some serious hits to their economy. IdrA's down to 58 workers now. joinahyun's only at 62. It seems like getting up to 70 is going to be fairly hard. Almost every base on this map has been taken. I don't know if you want to come back in here. That's a lot of turrets, Mr. Arbiter friend. I see you, and I'm worried about you. This Arbiter too. Maybe going for it. I don't know. And every time I say I see you, it takes me back to the Breakfast at Tiffany's song, right? Breakfast at Tiffany's by... I can never remember the band name. It's like 94. It's a long time ago. I'm an old person, in case you've forgotten. With 3 brain cells. That's a giant recall. How's there... It's like a double recall. Very nice. A lot of these missile turrets are going to die. I love the Zealot heavy recall here. Seems really good against the tanks that are responding to it. Oh, yeah, for sure. So the missile turrets die, which means Arbiter number 2 can wander on in here. You going to recall, bud? Nope, just supporting. It's cool. No worries at all. So all this line of missile turrets died. A couple supply depots went down. Dude, getting the armory would be pretty nice. slowing down the upgrade abilities of IdrA would be pretty fantastic. I love the recall play we're seeing out of joinahyun here today. We don't always see that. We don't always see the recall attempts. Again, because sometimes they're just not that good. Right? Sometimes they're just not that good against Terran in general. Tanks showing up with +3 attack and +2 armor. Going to go after this Nexus. This Nexus has really just had the worst time of anything from joinahyun's army today. Did he really not put any cannons over at this base? He hasn't actually put any probes to work over at this base. joinahyun, no! He's really focusing on this recall, maybe to the detriment of everything else. This Nexus is going to die. Arbiter recalls in again, and he does manage to get a few Zealots and a few Dragoons in here. Again, you need both, because look, there's Vultures now, and the Zealots trade very poorly against those, but very good against the tanks. It's the, you know, paper, rock, scissors aspect of PvT. Even more so than the other matchups, I think, have just some direct counters to things. Is he going to do it again? He does it again. I'll do it again, says Goofy. Holy crap. I mean, this is joinahyun recalling IdrA to death here. It is, however, 164 to 164 supply. I don't know that joinahyun is getting the kind of value he needs from these drops right now. In fact, I'm fairly certain that he's not. Ugh, man, I don't know about this. I really, really don't know about this. Another Nexus dies to Vultures. This is getting like the all-time record of number of Nexuses dying to Vultures in a game is, at this point, it's 3, which is a lot of Nexuses to die to Vultures, man. I don't know where these siege tanks went. I'm assuming some Protoss showed up and got... No, they're here. They're just hanging out because we keep recalling up here. joinahyun is just going to wipe out IdrA's main base just with 18 recalls in a row. That's his game strategy right now. Who needs positioning? Who needs extra bases? I'm just going to show up here with 1 billion recalls, kill a few factories at a time, kill some supply depots while I'm here. And then maybe while IdrA's over-responding to that, or maybe just perfectly responding to it, because he does need a lot of army up here, come through the middle of the map, try to kill some tanks. This is actually looking pretty bad for IdrA. All of a sudden... man, he never actually... Bring your DTs and kill these. DT. Kill the Vultures. Kill the men in brown spandex head-to-toe suits. Head-to-toe spandex on those guys. It's a weird uniform, but again, in 1998, I thought the future would be strange. It is strange, in fairness, but I don't know that we actually have standardized head-to-toe spandex suits. Maybe for, like, divers or something. Anyway, I'm being distracted. Expanding to the top side. joinahyun. Man, this is scraptastic. Honestly, I really feel like if Hyun had been able to establish these bases while attacking, he'd be in a much better position, but he never did. So IdrA decided to go for a bit of a doom push, but he doesn't have enough. Great stasis, by the way. IdrA calls out the cheater. There it is. What's he? Why? What? How? Are we talking about map hacks? What are you accusing? Oh, man. What are you accusing joinahyun here of exactly? Oh, boy. Suddenly, the tank count is getting removed from the game. There it is. There's that IdrA rage you were all expecting. It does seem to come more often in PvTs. I think his struggle in general was TvP. Which reminds me of Artosis. He also hates Protoss with the fire of 1,000 suns. So, maybe something about American Terran players who despise Protoss. I mean, is it over? No, I don't think it is. That was a nice push from joinahyun, but he doesn't have much after that happened, so... Let's not count anybody out yet. This is a nice big swell, though. Is he done recalling? I'd love to see another recall, just like 16 zealots on top of these tanks. And the tanks are like crap. He is balling up again. And does he have an Arbiter in the general neighborhood? No. Yeah, this is a bit of a sloppy game from joinahyun, but man, those recalls were fun. Tank count, not great, and it's 4. 4 is not a good number for tanks. 3-3, better number for tanks. Upgrades are fantastic, as we've established. This is tight. It's a lot of vultures all of a sudden. Observer sniped by IdrA. IdrA making that slow push that Terran does. Setting up on the high ground, getting the spider mines in. It's very particular and kind of finicky how you want to play TVP. Protoss is more about just going for it, and Terran is more about just setting up positions, right? And hoping the Protoss attacks into your siege tanks, because then they'll die. 175 to 139 supply. Hyun is not buying it. He's not accepting the bait. And by that I mean, it's 4 siege tanks, man. It's not a lot. IdrA's spending his money well. It's not like he's floating a huge bank here either. He's spending his cash as he gets it. He recognizes the Protoss is coming over, but see, the tanks are on siege now. They do siege up, but not before a couple of them go down. And is this enough? It looks like joinahyun feels like it's enough. IdrA can't do anything but stand and fight. The tanks can't retreat. They're not meant for that. And you know what? Tank's sitting back here. That is a 10-kill siege tank before he died. Get up there. Get it up within the minimum. And that's... Whoa! And a GG! joinahyun taps out. Please hold. That was an abrupt, unexpected ending from joinahyun. Man, he was even cheating. Okay, so the cheater comes in. Yada, 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 yada. We're going to speed this up. I mean, that's weird. It's weird we get IdrA rage and an IdrA win, isn't it? Man, hit that like button if you enjoyed the match, though. It was kind of fun. The recalls were great. So this happens. IdrA's losing supply. joinahyun's using supply. It's 57 to 55 workers. This tank, I didn't think was going to go down. It's got 10 kills, but then it did. Too abrupt. Too abrupt. What is this? This is, man, I've cast IdrA games where IdRA's tapped out prematurely and been like, IdrA, what are you doing? This really feels like joinahyun tapped out prematurely, doesn't it? Let me know in the comments if you think so. But look at this. It's 113 to 117 supply. The worker count is basically even. We've got plenty of income from this base, plenty of income from this base. No, you haven't been able to expand here. And yes, technically IdrA's taking this one. But your production tab, you're still making zealots, you're making arbiters, you're making dragoons. I don't think this was over. Look at this army from IdrA. It's basically 3 siege tanks, a couple Goliaths, and a couple vultures. There's reinforcing units coming in right now. Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy that's a GG. Again, I feel like if joinahyun had spent more time establishing these bottom 2 bases, again, not with huge armies, just with a couple cannons would have been nice, instead of recalling into IdrA's base 100 times and not accomplishing a ton. Right? I mean, I think he killed a factory, maybe. He killed a lot of missile turrets and some supply depots and some army that came to deal with it. But he didn't wipe it out. He didn't kill the production, and that's kind of what you have to do. So if he'd spent less time laser focusing on the recalls, which were fun, I'm not going to tell him not to do that, but also establishing these 2 bases, I think he wins the game. He feels better about it anyway. Maybe he doesn't tap out at 26 minutes. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe he was just tired. Amazing. All right. Well, kind of a weird game, but I enjoyed it. Loved the recalls. Let's go ahead and check out the score. 189,000 points for joinahyun, 200,000 points for IdrA. Produced about the same number of units. IdrA killed basically 80 more units than joinahyun did. Structures raised is in joinahyun's favor, as you would expect. And mine a lot more gas than IdrA, outspent him by about 10,000, yeah, about 10,000 resources, which is kind of in the range that you need to do to defeat a Terran. Yeah, joinahyun left too early. That's weird. That was a kind of a weird game, but I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, happy Monday to everybody. This has been Falcon Paladin with yet another edition of StarCraft Brood War Remastered. go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.